Hello, Intuitive Pool community. I just wanted to quickly record this episode with glass marks on my nose and all because I'm about to do a very bold thing. Probably one of the boldest things that I've done in my life, or at least amongst the boldest things I have done in my life. In the next episode, you are going to be hearing or viewing an open letter to the medical profession that I was very fired up to write and then to record and then to place on this podcast and also to place it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. The background is that I was on Zoom with a client, I think about 4 weeks ago now, who had the previous evening had an appointment with her oncologist. And even though her results had shown really great improvement, with three of the tumors decreasing in size and the fourth tumor no longer detectable, when my clients told the oncologist that she was also undergoing integrative treatment, the oncologist absolutely blasted her, damned her, told her that she'd ruined it all. And you can only imagine how my client felt about that. She went into complete despair for quite a few days. And I was on Zoom with her the following morning, and she was incredibly upset. And all the wonderful work that we had done in that moment felt like it had disappeared. And I said to her over the weekend, the sadness and the despair is going to turn into anger. And she said, I don't feel any anger at all in this moment. And I said, you will. And when you do, you're going to start taking the power back. And the good news is that over the weekend, I received a message from her saying, I'm starting to take the power back. And she has more fire and more determination and more will because of that. And we're going to hold that such that her results in November are going to reflect that by the grace of love. So, because I was fired up, I was very intuitively pulled to write this open letter to the medical profession. Now, it's not damning. Did not write it from inside the blame and judgment triangle. It's very honoring of them, but it's also provocative in a way that I'm asking them questions. Do you know the power of the words that you use? Are you aware of the power of your presence? Are you aware of the power of your energy and the impact that it has? This morning, because I knew that I was going to be publishing this open letter to the medical profession either today or tomorrow, I felt extremely vulnerable in my boldness. I actually haven't felt that kind of vulnerability in a long time. And I had the pleasure of recording a podcast episode with integrative oncologist Dr. Carol Haddad this morning at 10 o'clock. And I opened by saying to her, I feel so incredibly vulnerable. I feel scared, even though I am choosing that this video lands in the hands of the people that are ready to receive the message. I'm really choosing that it lands in the hands of the people that are ready to receive the message. And I'm also choosing for it to land in people with cancer's hands, because when I recorded it and watched it, I realized actually this is not just to the medical profession. This also has a massive place in the mindset of people with cancer and also other illnesses. So wish me the best. Please join me in my intention that this video goes out into the most perfect hands, and that it is the medicine that people didn't know they were looking for, and that it does a lot of good things. And really, the reason why I wanted to record this episode was to share my vulnerability with you. You know, this really is a cave I fear to enter. The cave I fear to enter was the very first podcast episode I recorded on the Intuitive Pool podcast back in 2021. And as I shared on that podcast episode, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek to find. And because I felt so vulnerable this morning, and not as much vulnerability this afternoon or this evening as I did this morning, or however, it's still there, I know without a doubt that I have to follow this pull. I will never not follow an intuitive pull when it's as big as this. So sharing this with you and encouraging you into your own big, brave, bold, intuitive pulls, into your own big, brave vulnerability, and into the caves you fear to enter, so that you can see the treasure is there and it is waiting for you and for so many other people. So let's go us. Thank you for listening, for viewing. And when you have your hands on that episode, if there are people that you feel to share that episode with, people who are impacted by cancer, whether they are in the medical profession or whether they have been impacted directly by cancer, or they are family or friends of people who have been impacted by cancer, please share that episode, that video. And also, as I said, I recorded a podcast episode with Dr. Carol Haddad. When that episode is up, please also share that. And then tomorrow, I have the great privilege of interviewing for the third time Janine Gearon, who you may have had the privilege and the open-heartedness to have received her messaging as she navigated her way through the voluntary assisted dying process. And her wish was that this information, her journey, would be out in the world, because as she was navigating it herself, there was really nothing that was shared about voluntary assisted dying through the first person. And things have moved with Janine, and I'm looking forward to sharing that podcast episode as well. A very dear podcast episode, very special one. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Ciao, ciao.